Would you believe you could grow a date palm right here in New York? I'm talking about the Phoenix Sylvestris, the silver date palm, and I've been growing it here for 4 years. Let me show you why this is one of the most underrated cold hardy palms you can grow. Hi everyone, it's Tim. Welcome back to my channel. This is the midweek version of my Saturday show that is much longer and a little more fun. But today we're talking about the Phoenix Sylvestris, which is right here. It is also called the silver date palm. And as you can see, it's got kind of a silvery color to it, which makes it a little bit different from the normal date palms. I am sorry that it's surrounded by musabastu, some sunflowers that I did not plant, some perennials. It's kind of been hidden back in here. I've been waiting for it to get nice and big, and it's starting to do that, and I think it's pretty fabulous. So if you've never watched my channel before, I am in the Hudson Valley of New York. And you may say, wait a second, you can't have a palm tree in New York, especially a date palm or a Sylvestris palm. And you're probably thinking you must bring that inside. And the answer is no, I don't bring it inside. I protect it in the winter. And I keep saying this all along, that date palms actually do really well with winter protection. They seem to enjoy, all right, that's a bad word. They seem to tolerate very, very well being dormant in the winter and coming back out in the spring. I got this palm, I thought it was 5 years ago. I just looked it up. I'm gonna show you the receipt here. I got it 4 years ago, 4 years ago this spring. And I keep thinking it's growing really slow, but considering it came in the mail and I got it from fastgrowingtrees.com, and it was not that big when I got it. It was a nice little sized palm. I definitely got my money's worth, but it has grown quite a bit, and I want to show you some past footage of what it looked like in the ground that first summer. I'm going to try and go through and see if I can find some midway through the years, and then I'm going to show you definitely what's going on with it today here. But I love this palm, and I'm really waiting for it to take off. And it is right next to, as you can see the fronds right here, my big gigantic Washingtonia robusta. So this one will grow big eventually. I've had several people say, why did you plant this so close to your Washingtonia? Well, the answer is my Washingtonia is going to outgrow me at some point on what I can actually cover up here. So at some point, as sad as it may sound, I'm going to lose the ability to cover my Washingtonia. I think I have quite a few years on this because it does not grow as fast as the Washingtonia does. So I am excited about this date palm. I have a number of date palms. This is the only Sylvestris I have. And to be really honest, I have just kind of boxed it in as easy as possible. I feel like this year it actually grew a little bit more. I'm gonna need to make sure I look at my winter protection and make sure it's big enough. Here is my big gigantic Washingtonia robusta. And back here is the Sylvestris. So like I said, I know they are very close together. I know the Sylvestris is going to get nice and big at some point and have a very, very wide canopy, much wider than my robusta here. But like I said, sadly, I don't know how many years I will be able to protect this, because I'm gonna come back over there and pan up on this and kind of show you how tall this is. Because like I am reaching up right here and I am nowhere near the top of this palm. So yes, this Washingtonia robusta is quite high. It is way up there. That's as far as my hand can go. It is getting nice and big. And then my Sylvestris over here, it's gonna have a much wider canopy, and it eventually will be coming into this, but I think by that point, this one will be too tall. The trunk on this is actually growing pretty well, but I want to remind everybody that there are very sharp spines, as you can see on this, because it is a date palm. And that's kind of just sedum ground cover I have there. But you have to be very careful with these. Even the fronds are very prickly. Like, they have a very sharp end, so you need to be careful with your eyes when you're going in there. But it's a really pretty palm, and I've gotten quite a bit of new growth in it this year. And I just hate that it's hidden by this sunflower, but I don't want to take the sunflower out right now because it is big and beautiful right now. And that's my problem. Sometimes I let the perennials and the unexpected annuals block out my palm trees, but this one next year I think I'm going to move that Musabastu, maybe the other one too, and give it more of a statement in my garden out here. It does have lots of new growth coming in. Sorry about the wind, it's very windy today. But yes, it's growing quite well. Despite the lantern flies, which are everywhere in my garden. Go, leave. They are everywhere in my garden right now in the Northeast. This is an old picture. You can kind of see how small they were at one point. Here's a view from across the pool. Just to give you an idea of what it looks like over there and the height comparison to the Robusta. But I think if I clean those perennials out, and there's no gigantic sunflower, that sunflower is so tall, next year it will start to pop. Let's talk about how well it does over winter. My method with this type of palm, which is the more tropical of the palms, unlike the windmill palms or the Trachycarpus fortunae, that's a little bit of a different method. This, I'm putting the date palms in more of my tropical palm categories, which means I use an insulation board box with C9 incandescent Christmas lights with a temperature controller that comes on when it hits below 32. The palm basically goes dormant over the winter. It stays warm enough in the box just to keep it alive. And in spring, you open it up and it's back to beautiful palm trees for the summer. Based on that, I am going to give this palm a rating of 8. I think it's a really easy palm, especially if you buy it young and small. You will have a lot of time to learn how to deal with it, how to build a structure. My structure for the one over there that I have is not even 5 feet tall right now. So it's really, really easy. It's a great starter palm. You just need to look out for those needles. That I just want to remind everybody, like, those needles are treacherous, but it's a really great palm. For summer, I fertilize it with a good palm fertilizer. I do spray it with Miracle Grow when I'm spraying the bananas all around. It seems fine with that. It's growing, it looks good. I highly recommend this palm. I know I keep mentioning starter palms, but I do think that's important. A palm tree that doesn't grow super, super fast, if you're starting out in the palm world where you have to cover it for winter, that does make a big difference. And the Sylvestris palm is one of those palm trees. Yes, you could start with Trachycarpus fortunae, and it's a little less work to cover, but there's some difficulties even there. This one you box up, you've got it for the winter, and you open it up in the spring. I think they're great. I think you will like it, and I highly recommend. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you hang around this Saturday and watch my full-length video on whatever I'm doing. I'm still trying to figure out what that is at this point, but I post these midweek. They're usually on one species, and on Saturday, I usually take you through most of the garden for something. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. It makes such a difference. I really appreciate it. Thank you.